Welcome to Here to Shake the Table, the podcast where we bring women together from all walks of life to have raw conversations about topics and issues that matter most. I'm your host, Amby Stevens with Empowerment, an all-inclusive women's center that supports women professionally, personally, and all things in between. And in typical empowerment form, we are here to shake some tables. So pull up a chair, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. Hello. Welcome to Here to Shake the Table, the podcast where we bring women from all walks of life to have raw conversations about the issues that matter most. I'm your host, Amby Stevens, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. We have two incredible guests joining us on this show who are here to share their insights and experiences on a topic that's close to our hearts. They're both women who have shattered stereotypes and broken through the barriers that they are here, and they're going to have great conversations with us. They're here to shake the table and make a difference. Our first guest is the incredible Shelby Crum, who is a trailblazer in so many ways with a passion for speaking up, speaking out, and shaking the effing table. Our second guest is Katy Rey, who is a firecracker, a great friend of mine. She's here today to share her insights and to challenge us on thinking more deeply about the issues that affect women every single day. Today's topic is I am more than my title or label, which is why I am personally not giving them formal introductions because they're going to do it themselves. So, ladies, it is an honor to have you with us to share your stories and insights. This is a conversation that I'm sure will shake tables and challenge our assumptions and leave us all feeling inspired and empowered. I'm going to call out Haley. Haley is Shelby's wife, by the way. I don't know why I just said that. I'm going to call out Shelby. So speaking of titles and labels.
Yes.
There's
one right there.
What are some labels that society normally puts on you? My bad.
No pressure.
No pressure.
You went right in there.
We are.
Labels and titles. So most of my background is in the staffing industry as an executive. So that is a very, very male-dominated industry. So for me to have actually obtained the roles that I have in that industry is pretty, I will pat myself on the back a little bit with that. Vice president was most of my time in the staffing industry. And you don't see many people, women, and certainly women like me, in that role at all. But that, of course, I'm a Black woman as well. Yeah, pro-Black.
Yep. Black History Month.
Black History Month. I have a wife, as you mentioned. I also have had a husband before. We can dive into that some other time. And a mother as well. So I've had a lot of different titles and labels of lesbian, bisexual is what has been. That is not my title, but that is something that society has put on me. So those are some of the labels that I've had and titles.
I love that. One of these days, we'll have to get into that conversation.
Anytime.
Yeah. We'll bring it to the mic to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
I love all your labels, and I'm excited to get more into them and kind of hear about how they've challenged and impacted you most.
Yes, ma'am.
Katy.
Hello.
Tell us, what are these labels they put on you?
So I go deep into starting in 7th grade. I was a child of divorce. I was a daughter of a homosexual man. I was a felon, professional, the only child of 4 to graduate college. I was a sales representative in a male-dominated industry as well, IT, lots of white males. I was also an infertile female. I am a wife of a recovering addict, and I've in different circumstances, those labels tore me down and confused me a little bit, like being in a Catholic school while my dad came out, knowing that he's such an amazing human. It was very contradictory, like, oh wait, is there shame with that? Should I not love him? Should I? But it made me who I am today. And being a felon and trying to get a job out of college because I grew weed was really hard because on paper you look like crap. And you're like, wait, but I'm a really good human. I'm really good. There's just been a lot that the labels, you look inside for a second, you're like, wait, that's not who I am at my core. So I've fought against that, and it feels really good to come out on the other end, to let people know that it gets really, really messy, and society doesn't always agree, but just stay true to who you are. And
yeah,
sky's the limit.
Dang, y'all are getting deep, man. Jeez, first question coming in hot. The funny part about this is that when I asked you guys to come on this, I obviously I know y'all's labels, but I didn't realize just it's really aligned and it's also super untraditional. So it's really cool that we can sit here and talk about this today because I think it's going to help people realize that it can be something else, right? You don't have to identify as those labels or titles, and you can kind of change the narrative how you want to change them. So that's cool. I don't really have that many labels other than, what am I?
Bad bee.
Yes, I am. I'm a lot of different things, but it's not about me. I don't feel like talking about it right now. So we'll listen to what the girls got to say.
Okay, cool. Thanks for making us.
Right, thank you.
Oh, I'm also a mom
Oh, yeah.
of 3. How horrible. The mom.
I left some out too. It's cool.
I don't think Shelby said she was a mom either. Did you?
She did. She did. You said mother.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
She got my back.
She did. Kids out there, she
I
said.
do have some kids out there.
She did.
Like 1 from life 1 and 2 from life number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're going to be an aunt one day too
I'm ready.
from me.
It's me.
It's me, yes. For the record, if anyone was wondering, the aunt, I'm not pregnant right now, but when I do get pregnant, they'll be my kids on. So add that to y'all's labels too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So speaking of all those labels and just what it has kind of created for y'all's life and what it may have challenged you, I guess I want listeners to be able to learn from you as like how and what ways has it have you challenged your labels that others have given you, and how has it impacted your life the most?
Oh, it's back to me? Okay, cool.
Either one of you.
So when I mentioned the staffing industry, that label, so when I started, I didn't know anything about staffing. I learned that industry from the bottom up, and I fell in love with it very quickly. Worked my way up, busted my butt to really just do a really good job and to learn as much as I could and to grow. So I was told that when I wanted another position, like a senior type of position, that that's not for you. You're doing a great job, because I had been I won all these awards and accolades and what I was doing, and they loved it, and I was helping the people who were doing had the titles that I wanted. So of course they wanted me to stay in that seat. So it didn't go over really well for me, with me. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? That's not for me.
Yeah.
So I had to really push and make moves and leave that organization that I was with and go out and kind of make my own way. So I stepped into roles that I didn't know everything about, but I knew I could learn. So I continued to grow and continued to grow up the ladder very high and be in conversations, sit at tables I had no business sitting at, which was fantastic. And sitting with people who had titles and worked for logos that you guys would recognize. And they're looking at me for answers. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. My goal was really to be able to certainly income. I was motivated by money. Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Nope.
You got to pay your bills, right?
But I wanted experiences at that time. I have my daughter, so my oldest daughter, Jade. Shout out Jade.
I hope you're listening, Jade.
Yes, I do. Hope she is too. And I really wanted to do well for her. Her dad wasn't in her life. We had divorced years ago, and I really wanted to provide experiences. I didn't want her to want for anything. So that I really took that job very, very seriously. And what people probably are always surprised about with me is that I was extremely shy when I was young.
What?
Oh, girl. Very, very shy.
We just danced as a
I was going to say, for those of you who don't know
changed.
Shelby, just so everyone knows,
like,
Shelby is
who?
incredibly, she makes you feel so comfortable. She's the most
sweet,
open person that I have ever been around, other than Katie, and just makes you feel like you can do anything. So that's just crazy to me that you used to be shy.
Well, yeah, I did, and it was interesting because it was kind of rather paralyzing throughout. I had missed out on a lot of experiences when I was younger. Then my daughter was born. And we're going to get real deep here. So my daughter was born, and she was born with what's called a cleft lip. I don't know if you guys know what that is. So when I was young, like I said, round 2, I was 20 years old. I had my daughter at 20. And when she came out and had this cleft, I'm like, what do I do? What did I do? And I hadn't done anything. It was actually genetic. It had not come out in our genetics. My mother's adopted, so we don't know her background and history. So more than likely it's on that side of the family. But I really had to advocate. And when you have a child, you really got to step it up and advocate for them and fight for them. So I did. We became very involved in an organization called Operation Smile. So I started stepping out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I was asking the doctors questions. I was pushing. I wanted to make sure she received the best care possible. She had her first surgery by the founder of Operation Smile.
Wow.
Which was fantastic, and they're great people. But that really, I had to get out of my shell, come out of my shell for that and for her. So things continued, and I just wanted to do really well, as I stated, continue in the staffing industry, which was a blessing. And I was really, really good at it.
Yeah.
So I'm still dabble in it, and now I do consulting work. Yeah. But really, that was really pushing past that because I was being told no, not to do that. Stay in your lane.
Do you think that's where you found your voice and how important it is being a mom? Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, being her advocate and making sure she wanted for nothing was really what pushed me and got me out of my comfort zone. And when I started to come out of my shell, I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am capable. Do it for Jade. Do it for Jade.
How we treat ourselves, just you solo. You're like, I'll just stay quiet and just run with it. But once she was there, you're like,
not anymore. So it really, I spent, like I said, the majority of my career in the staffing industry, and it was wonderful. Now I'm in a place where I'm able to consult and spend more time doing wonderful things like volunteering for organizations, doing more charitable work, donating, so philanthropy work. And my wife is a great partner in that, and we're so blessed to be able to do those things. Yeah. And it brings so much joy. And I got these two little ones, too, who take up a lot of time. And they are wonderful. I didn't expect this. If you asked me probably 5-6 years ago if this is where I'd be in my life,
Isn't it cool to watch?
It is very cool to watch.
Yeah.
It is very, very cool to watch. But you have to advocate for yourself. We as, and certainly as women, we're told we can't do certain things, or this is for you, or this isn't for you, or whatever the case is. And you have to be like, no, like you just called Amber, she's a bad bee.
Yeah,
so you have to step up and be like, I'm a bad bee and I can do this. So you got to step up and be your own cheerleader, right?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting, though, what you said about, 5 years ago, you would never have expected this? I feel like as women and as people in general, we just have to, give faith and just hope that things work out, because it literally is never our, yes, we can plan stuff, but it's not really our plan, right?
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than us.
Oh,
I
sure.
feel the exact same way.
I had a plan. When I came here, I wanted to come to warmer weather. So I was like, okay, and then this opportunity came up. And again, we'll have to talk later because I worked for my wife. My wife is very brilliant. She hired me and then she married me. She's so smart.
Shout out to Haley. We love you, Haley Crum.
Doesn't she sound smart? She sounds so smart.
She's brilliant. So brilliant.
Look at all of these moves she made.
But the morning of that meeting, that in-person interview, I've been she is though. I'm just gonna give it to her, right? You know it's true.
She made smart moves. She's good. She's good at what she does.
She's good. She can listen to this and be like, man.
She's gonna say yes.
The research, the facts are there.
The facts are there.
They're right here.
They're here.
The truth came out.
And honestly, I'm so happy she married you, because I wouldn't have probably met you.
No. Well, you know what? Everything is aligned. So that was the point. I was about to get to is that I was on my knees that morning of that in-person interview with Haley and her family at that time. And I remember getting on my knees literally and praying to God and said, I need you to take the lead. I need you to speak through me and you lead me. If this is meant to be, then you make it abundantly clear.
And he sure did.
He sure did.
Because that's what
He sure did.
I had no interest in marrying anybody anymore. I was all deep up in my
heard
career.
You,
that
Shelby.
was it.
Yeah, she said, heard you, Shelby.
Can we say assignment understood?
No, assignment understood. I had no idea that it was a person, because at that time I'm thinking, it's the job.
Job.
It's the place. It's the job. I was ending a relationship. I had getting divorced. I didn't want to get married again.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Nope.
And now look at you.
And now look at me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, looking all beautiful and
glowing.
Yeah, glowing, ring all splingly spling.
That's a little Haley Crum.
I can't see your mic. Your ring's in my way.
It's blinding.
Sorry, I can't see you over there. The bling.
I can't really see her. What?
That's a good label.
You did good, babe. You did good, babe.
Cheers to Haley.
Beautiful ring is gonna be Shelby's new title.
I know. I've been putting my hands under the table. I'm like, Jesus.
Girl, me too. Look.
Did you also pray to God for that? Because he ain't giving me that.
That was a bonus.
Can you tell us, what is that prayer? Okay, you know how they say the Sierra's prayer?
What's that prayer?
What is the Shelby prayer?
What is it? Can you write it down? Record it.
I'll record it for you.
Yeah,
later.
please
Don't
do
worry.
that.
Inflection, right?
That was a
Gotcha.
great answer. We could probably sit here all day.
I love
I'm
that.
laughing. Oh, thank you so much, Shelby. That was incredible. We really appreciate that vulnerability. And Katie, I'm going to ask you the exact same question.
Yeah, I got into it a little bit because, me and God are tight.
Yep.
He, she, whatever. It's cool. We know what's up. But so it was a very hard time for me when I was younger because I've just always been like, I want to make people smile. I love my life. Life is good. I was the overweight, happy kid that everyone went to for jokes. And I enjoyed it. Nobody ever made fun of me then. So
We still go
I was
to you for jokes.
But that was really a hard hit, but it made me exactly who I am for seeing people at their core. Did I make some messed up decisions in high school to college? Yeah, a couple. But I always worked really hard and I always wanted to provide for my family, get them a new pair of J's for Christmas or something fun.
Oh, goals.
And it was, the things I did in college, which were entrepreneurial, selling weed, but
That's entrepreneur.
it was. I mean,
It is
entrepreneurial. I mean, it was entrepreneurial.
It is. And a hustling entrepreneur.
But I
Right?
stayed true to my core in like a way. Like I said, no, I don't really want this other things in my house. Like I don't, like we're just growing and handing it out to our friends. But I know where I lost my way multiple times, and those are also when I wasn't praying or I wasn't like turning to like lead me in the right directions, and I was going with the people that were not making good decisions for me. And so I noticed that people did get in my head because feeling that shame for my dad when I shouldn't have, because he was still a good human. He came out after 40. Yeah, it messed up my mom for a couple of years, but my mom also saw him for who he was, and he came back in our life. We do holidays together. It's my mom and her husband, and my dad and his husband. My kids see a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's just how I am now, and that's why I know that I see people for who they are, because once I had a felony record, my best reps had not like theft records. Those are super hard to get people past, but like, DUI or something like that. Those were my really hardworking reps, because I knew that they said, I look so crappy on paper. How am I going to really show up? And I was like, let's do it. And those were my really like embodied me, because I would always like go up and be like, but I've been a manager. And they're like, oh, you have a background. And I'm just like, gosh, defeated. And then when I found out I couldn't get pregnant naturally and I had to do IVF, I again I was an aunt at 10. So I'm like, oh my God, I want babies when I'm older. Yeah, of course I want to be a mom. So felt defeated again. And that whole milestone hit. That's why I'm so big on like, you don't have to hit a milestone. Like just live it. Your milestone is your milestone. Like, let's celebrate you consulting now. Let's celebrate you. So me feeling like, oh, I just got married. Oh, I should be having kids right now. Oh, it was just like kept getting in my head. So the labels really got me, but I always jump back. And, we were so blessed with 3 out of 4 cycles. Like that's another journey for people that I have so much empathy towards. On my worst enemy, I would never wish infertility on anybody. The mind and it's just like mentally, physically draining, all the things. But again, I wasn't only that label, but I gave women voices who were infertile, and people would reach out to me and be like, I know you're on this journey. And I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. Because you do feel alone. Even if your whole family's around you, you feel alone. And then with my husband's addiction coming out after 6 years of marriage that didn't feel as fulfilling, because I thought marriage was supposed to feel like this. And you're like, wait, my gut's telling me it's not. And then wait, infidelity, addiction. I'm like, these are the worst labels.
Yeah.
To shame around these two. But I give women voices and men voices that the infidelity isn't on you. It's on their choices. And you get to actually ride your life out and do what you need to do. So I always say, Chris and I were on our own recovery paths, and we just ended up finding ourselves again together. But I allowed him to recover. I got back to who I was, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was like, I knew it. My gut was right. Damn it. Excuse me for the word. But
You're fine. We're here to shake the table.
But I share that with people because it lifts that shame up, because that label got me for a while. Like, what does it say about me? Do people think it's my fault? Are his decisions my decisions? Like, no, they're not. Yeah. And if we talk more about addiction, mental health, infidelity, shame, and all of that, like people feel okay with the messiness. And you see hope in my eyes, because life gets really ugly, but it also gets really beautiful. Yeah. So it's like once you get to there, it's a hard place to get to, but I noticed the times where the labels, I would be crying out of a job interview because I knew who I was and I knew how I loved to lead people, and I just lead people into fulfillment. So now starting my own company, I get to stay absolutely true to my core.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the last CEO to tell me no. And you're like, yeah,
I am the CEO.
yeah, like, no. So it feels really good to be able to just pour into people like I always wanted to.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You
brought
know,
up a valid point and started
no, go ahead.
of when you said, and I thought, and actually this was on my spirit earlier this morning, when you said labels, and we have to be careful essentially about the labels, excuse me, that we embrace ourselves, that we take on that part right there.
Yeah, that's
Thank you
deep.
for sharing
Messes
that.
you up. Messes you up.
So speaking of that,
Oh, did that lead you into it?
yep, you sure
You're welcome.
did. Because I'll tell you, since we're here to shake the table, I wanted so badly to be a wife, right? Like that was the label that I wanted. That was like, Lynn and I had been together for, Lynn's my husband, had been together for, like 7 years. And like I kept saying, he's my partner, because I felt like we were both at a place where he was more than my boyfriend, and I want him to be my husband. So I pretty much we've not forced it, but I made him. Yeah, I forced it. I made him marry me, and we're very untraditional. So we just wanted to exchange bracelets, right? So I was like, I just want to exchange bracelets. Like we're gonna have this amazing ceremony in Italy, which we did. And then I got insecure about my label because people kept saying oh, why don't you wear a ring? Is he really your husband? Are you really married? So I literally, it's so funny because him and I have been going through something the last week because his birthday was Saturday and I bought him a ring for his birthday. And he was his reaction to the ring was very much ugh, right? And it hurt my feelings. And so I realized, actually talking to y'all just now, that the reason why he was doing that is because to him it was just validation of my label, as opposed to being this ceremony that we did was so special. You don't need a ring. Why do I need it now? Just for your own label and validation. So this is actually
others,
yeah,
not
and not even for me, because I wear a ring. I don't care if he wears a ring or not. The man goes to the gym every day. I don't want a damn ring. But I wanted it to validate my label.
Right.
Which is
I know, it's
mind fuck.
Yes, it is.
Sorry,
She
y'all.
said the F word.
I did.
It's not on me.
No, it's not on you.
She is out doing
Nailed
curse
it.
words today. What's up?
Nailed
Me?
it. I feel really good and pure today.
Yeah, you feel me? Yeah, because usually, guess what? You know what?
Everybody's taking it for
This is an unfiltered conversation, and sometimes when you shake the table, some curse words come out too.
We're explicit.
Yes, explicit. So that said, I guess I'm asking, how do you all feel labels limit us? I feel obviously that limited me, and I haven't talked to Lynn in 5 days. And so it caused a big situation when I probably could have just I feel I caused that problem now, hearing y'all talk about it.
Sure, but look at how honest you were about it.
Yeah,
And how you're realizing that. That's huge.
totally.
So, and you're saying, how did that affect you, or how does that limit? You haven't talked to him for 5 days.
There it goes.
I'm just that part.
Yeah,
right.
You answered your limitation.
That's true.
Well, just Katie was saying, when you take these things on and you hold on to them, they can be so detrimental to our mental health, which then also reflects in our physical health. So we have to be very careful with that.
Absolutely.
And how you interact with others, right?
Yeah.
And what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
So it can be very detrimental. It can be paralyzing at times. And as you said, it's a mind F.
It
right?
is,
And
yeah.
it will stick with you. And so it takes a lot of mental fortitude to work through that and get beyond it and not care about what other people think. I was just talking to my son this morning. He's 7, and he was born via IVF as well. Girl, we got a lot in common. We got to get deep.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Cheers.
Cheers. So
They also like mocktails.
yes, and we love mocktails. Team mocktails. But he was diagnosed last year with ADHD and attentive, and so he was talking to me this morning, and he's starting to verbalize much more and have conversations. My daughter, as you've met, Amber, so that I inherited from Haley. She's my mini Haley. Love her to death, Annabelle. She is a conversationalist. She could run this table right now. But our son, he doesn't talk as much. He doesn't hold whole conversations, and he's a guy too, right?
Yep.
And he's very much a guy's guy,
Yeah.
a boy. He's very boy. But he was talking to me this morning and said something about people calling names, or if someone says stupid. And I said, he called himself stupid. And I said, why would you say that? And he said, I said, are you? He said, no, I'm not. I said, you know that. So don't you ever. And I said, come over here. I said, don't talk about my son like that. Don't you ever say that about yourself. He said, yes, Mom, I promise I won't.
Man, you made me cry.
I said, I don't. And I said to him, I said, if somebody says that to you, I said, what do you say? He goes, I'm going to get them. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to get them? What are you going to do? He said, I'm just going to ignore them. And I'm not going to ignore them because, I said, why? He said, because I'm not stupid. I said, there it is. I said, you continue to have that spirit. If we can teach that young, I don't think we all learn that. Many of us don't when we're younger. And so we're trying very, very hard around you to continue to push that message and make sure they feel a good sense of self.
Yeah.
And feel strong enough, because that's not easy.
Yeah.
That is not easy. I mean, as adults, it's not easy. So that's interesting that happened this morning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is that hard to tell him that? I feel like that would have like crushed me to hear him say that.
Oh yeah, it made me. I got tears in my eyes for sure. I have them right now.
Yeah.
Because he's so. Not only is he
Sensitive,
gifted, he tested gifted. The boy is brilliant.
He's also incredibly cute,
and he's so cute. Girls for days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. It's tough to have those conversations, and it's tough to hear him. He's now verbalizing the struggles he's starting to feel with ADHD. And again, resources for sure, blessed beyond measure. Too, it's been a tough road. But we're at a place now of calm where we have taken a medication route. We do therapy. We do all the things, the diet, all the things, physical activity, that to help him with that. So he is in a beautiful place right now. But he's able to start verbalizing things like last night. He's like, Mom, I can't control my brain. Like, so those things hit. But I appreciate him speaking.
I was just going to say, it's beautiful for them to speak about it.
Yes, and I'm asking him to explain, what does that feel like? What do you mean by that? So we have deeper conversations. So again, I want to be very careful with our children, but with myself as well, being very careful with those things that we take on, those labels that we take on to ourselves, and they paralyze us. So, I mean, they can be paralyzing. They can be detrimental, and it can affect your life in such a horrible way. So yeah,
you're killing it, Mom.
She is. Then you end up inheriting superwoman moms.
Yeah, but my two oldest are dyslexic, so that piece of stupid and I can't read and stuff is so heartbreaking. And it's new stuff, right?
Yes.
We didn't have ADHD. My son has a mild but dyslexic, both of them. And yes, we're very blessed for the resources. Our tutor is this amazing woman who probably should be retired, but she's an angel on earth. And it's just it's learning curve for us. Because you're totally right with how we pour into others is like, why did we forget to pour into ourselves like this?
Yeah.
But then you're like questioning, did I do the right thing as a mom? Because you're like, oh my God, they're looking at you all the time. But, I sometimes curse in front of them. And I look at them and I said, be better than your mom.
Be better. Be better.
Don't be me. Be better than me.
Jaden will go, I heard that. And I'm like, did you? Great.
I know he didn't heard you curse.
Oh, for sure. But it's also giving them the resources I didn't have. His anxiety is outrageous. And he sees someone for that safe space. Like he has a counselor and we talk about mental health. And my daughter, the silent killer, doesn't talk as much. And you're like, what are you going on in your head? She's like, when do I get to see Miss Mari? And I'm like, that's good. She wants to, just giving them those extra safe spaces. Because, sometimes we got to be moms.
No doubt.
Like, why did you not clean your room? They're like, what just happened?
Eat your food. Your homework.
But it's showing them too. I always tell them, like when I come from a very loud Lebanese family. So I sometimes raise my voice and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm human too. And they're like, okay. And they like look at you and shame you, but it's fine.
No, that's good.
But like owning our human.
Yes.
Like, it's just, and I always tell my parents, like, you're amazing. But there's some things
you just can't avoid.
Like, mess with my head a little bit.
Like, just a little. But you guys are great.
But I always say, break the cycles. We're breaking cycles. We're breaking cycles. But
you guys got me scared to be a mom.
Yes.
Yeah, and just like labels though too, like when you're in it and being in a room, Shelby, like you're a VP, you own that position, but being surrounded by people that don't look like you and you're having a voice and there's a lot of male energy and you're coming in with just like vibrant, that's a hard thing. Like when was your aha moment of like, I'm going to continue to speak up? Like when was that?
There was a few of them.
He's like, I took
four.
Like four at least.
Then I rage quit and I walked out.
4 times 6. What you got?
I think let's see, probably 8 years ago, there was some VP, long and short, I'm working at this company in Michigan. And the person that hired me, it was a family-owned company, long and short. The person that hired me, the president of the company, was wonderful. We actually had a friendship, and she was great, and it was going really well. She had unfortunately had some medical issues, and she had to retire early. That left a seat open, so the other family members had decided to bring in someone who had no industry experience to fill that role. I said, "Oh, you'll be fine. It's going to be great." And it wasn't fine.
You were not fine.
It was not.
And I'm like, all right, well, we'll check this out and see how it goes. I knew it was not going to be good, but it was an experience that I don't wish on my worst enemy. When I tell you I'm doing the right things, I was killing it. I had saved accounts and built teams and increased their revenue in millions and just doing the right things and really enjoying it. Because I had a passion. And this individual, when we would have client-facing meetings, and I was telling you, we're in front of logos and people of status, and they're looking at me. And he gets upset because they don't understand. Like, are you in HR? Are you in staffing? He's like, no, I'm an engineer.
Ooh.
And they're like, oh, okay. Well, Shelby, hey, that so
Cool.
and yeah, cool. Going back to her.
So back to the one that knows what she's talking about.
And the internal staff, so internal staff and external clients, all looking at me, and it became a very toxic environment where he would tell me to do ABC. I'd show up for a meeting doing ABC, and he said, I didn't tell you to do that.
Oh my gosh, he gaslit you.
And it's you're sitting there and you're like, what? What? Am I crazy? Did I mess something up? What is going on? So this happened many times, where so much so in my career where I ended up getting physically ill.
Wow.
It was extremely toxic. I was the main breadwinner for our family at that time. And I'm like, I busted my butt for this, and this is happening?
Yeah.
What is going on? I'm like, I can't be in this toxic environment anymore. So essentially, it was a toxic environment. It was a setup. I knew they wanted me out.
Yeah.
But it was messing with my head because I'm like, what did I do?
Right.
What did I do? Well, this is just business. Business can be really nasty and dirty at times, and it was in that experience. So we had a mutual release, and I ended up leaving it. But I remember speaking my truth.
Yeah.
Before I left, and
Dropped the mic.
Dropped the mic.
Yeah. Did you shake the table?
I shook the table, dropped the mic, threw some pot. No.
People are always like, it's not worth it. It is to me.
It is.
I need to say it before I do.
It is, and I did it in a respectful manner. I remember the lady who's the president of the partner company, and I remember her saying to me, we just want to make sure that you exit in the right way. Like, we want to keep this calm.
Keep you calm.
Keep
calm.
Head tilted. I did the head tilt.
Do you have a table for me to flip?
Yeah, right. And at this point, I said, I will continue to be a consummate professional as I've always been. So I continue to be true.
Don't come to me like that.
Absolutely.
Girl, I was
You're
so
going to speak your truth. Yeah.
Yes.
Don't try to calm me
And
down.
you have words where you can tell people to F off with your words.
Yeah, no
so
doubt.
we're going to
So,
continue that.
I got a degree in that, and doing that in a way that is effective.
Yeah.
So that was one of my aha moments. And at that point, I didn't know what I was going to do in my career. I was really just thrown off and unhealthy in so many ways, and just continued to move forward. And then I did some consulting work and went back to Virginia. Maybe that's the move, is to go back to Virginia, where I'm originally from, and help my mom and spend time with my family. And in that time, then this opportunity came up for Florida. Yeah. And I'm like, and again, I'm in a place still trying to get myself together as far as professionally, and just mentally as who I am. And I was ending a relationship. I knew I was going to end that relationship. And so preparing for that, but my commitment was, okay, I'm the one who can move to this desirable location, and make this happen. So then we'll worry about the divorce and all that stuff later.
All
but
that
then Haley
stuff.
say, hey,
hey, let's get away.
And then you're like, we're going to shut these papers down now.
no doubt.
These done.
No doubt.
Done.
I will tell you, one of the wonderful things though is that, people talk about oh God, you worked with her. How did you work with your spouse?
I hate when people say that.
Yeah, how did you do that? I could never do that.
I love this person.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I am so thankful because it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah,
she is
of
a
course.
phenomenal executive, and I say that. I would have said that before
Yeah.
we became this version of us.
Yeah.
Because she was one of the reasons I had other opportunities in other places in the country at that time. But because of who she was and how she conducted herself and how important people were to her and doing the right thing, and it was huge, and it was such a driver for me. And I'm like, I want to go be with this.
Yeah.
I want to be on that team.
The facts show, like, you fell in love with her for who she is. Yes. So if you can't work with her, please don't get married.
Yeah, that's so true. Very true.
I feel like this is a healthy
Valid.
relationship.
That's
But
very
like,
valid.
if you didn't enjoy her at work, like, I don't think it's going to be fun for you.
I also feel like everyone should do that at least once because you're able to see your spouse in a different light.
Absolutely.
And like, I feel like there is a switch that goes on and off. Like to be able to respect them at work versus at home is like a whole different thing. Oh yeah. At least for me, at least.
I worked with Chris. We were knocking down doors in Miami, business to business, selling T1s to people.
Oh, I love that.
At a CB. Oh my God, this company is so shady. But they saw my sales experience, so they're like, "Well, you can definitely join."
do it.
But we worked together, but we didn't tell anybody we were together.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh no, and it was so much fun.
So I didn't do sales. I didn't go knock on doors, but Lynn and I we did Uber Eats. For a little bit, we're trying to raise some money to be able to go on vacation. Okay. But after like the second drive in Tampa, we only got like $10. We were like, nah. So what are we not going to do?
You want to go get tacos now? Because I ain't about that.
You know what happened? It was like midnight. We went to this guy's house to give him his McDonald's, and the guy wasn't home. And he was like, y'all can just keep it. So we're like,
Pay it forward.
yep, I did the same thing. So we ate the McDonald's on the way home. We were like, this is just not worth it. Like, just not worth it.
To eat McDonald's.
Yes, it was like $10. Yeah. So after that, we were like,
there's like
maybe we should figure out something else. Maybe we should like,
and
readdress.
together. And
yeah.
I mean, it's good for some people. It fits their schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it just wasn't for you. But I'm glad you tried it.
It just wasn't. That was years ago. Pre, career stuff.
Now you guys have worked together.
Exactly. Yes, we have worked together. We realized what it was like to grind together, to eat McDonald's together, and here we are now, no longer working together.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, I'm sorry. I have one more question before we end this incredible conversation, but think about it very deeply before answering, okay? You ready? I won't be, as Shelby drinks her water. Without using your titles or labels, because I didn't give y'all an introduction, tell me who you are. Katie's going first since she made Shelby also.
That may have been strategic.
Katy Rey.
I am a person who does not judge you, only judge you on character, not who you pray to, who you love, or where you're from. I am a kind soul who wants the best for everyone and wants to pour into you so that I leave you better than I found you.
Ooh,
that was good.
I'm supposed to follow that.
I didn't even practice. That just came out. Could
good.
someone record that? Oh, we're on a podcast.
What she
That
said.
was great.
What she said.
You double up?
Ditto. That part.
Was that Shelby or Katie speaking? We don't know. It was both of us.
It was Katie.
She was speaking for both of us. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Katie's our rap name.
Yeah,
I take all of that. I do take all of that. I'm a passionate person. And I've got a big heart. I love hard. I have high expectations of myself, so I have high expectations of others. I'm a bad bitch.
You are.
Yes.
You know what? Since we started this out, surrounded by some bad bitches on this podcast.
This table can't handle us. This table can't handle us.
The table has been shook.
That was me shaking.
I wish you guys could be
table
here
can't
right
handle
now to
us.
see them dancing and shaking this table. I can't wait we are going to have a video podcast eventually. Right now it's just audio, and the video one is going to be incredible because if y'all saw this, you would be laughing so
Well, the
hard.
three of us are starting our own show.
Yeah,
I think
we are.
We should do that.
We should do that. How do I add my name into Shakady?
Oh, Katy B.
Oh, Shakady B. That was good.
You are good.
Oh gosh.
I'm a lyrical.
You really are amazing at that. That was fantastic. It has been a pleasure having you all on Here to Shake the Table. I am obsessed with both of you. Love you both very much.
I love you back.
I just can't wait for people to hear this. And until we meet again, don't forget to shake tables and make a difference in your lives. And don't let your labels define you
Thanks
as
for
they
having
shake
us.
the table.
Cheers.
Thank you,
No
ma'am.
problem.